Good evening, viewers, and you're welcome to the program Stock and Shares. On the program this evening, basically taking a cue from what we discussed last week. We did promise you last week that come Tuesday, which happens to be today, that we'll be sharing with you what to expect for a number of companies when it comes to the April to June segment in terms of their results. So that is the promise that we'll be keeping on the program this evening. But also on the program this evening, because that is not the only thing that will occupy the next 60 minutes. We'll also be sharing with you very many things that makes up the constituents of the program Stock and Shares. And talking about our regulars, we'll be talking about market development. We'll be talking about corporate results. We'll be talking about company of the week. I'll be talking about many more. But on the program this evening, we'll be sharing with you two companies talking about corporate results, and they'll be coming in from the banking subsector. I'll be leaving you to judge as to what is it that's in the two companies for you when it comes to performances. But also on the program this evening, we'll be sharing with you companies whose results are also expected in the week under review. Because the market is about anticipation, or if you like, it's about hope. So what is it that will be coming my way as an investor? Because every investor basically puts his or her money with the intention of getting some return. So that will also be sharing with you on the program this evening. But for our first-time viewers that are also very critical to the future of the program, just like our existing viewers are also important, we'll continue to encourage you to use two of the platforms that basically helps to connect you to us. And the platforms are either you use an SMS platform, basically sending messages as to what you want and areas of interest, or you use the email platform. But what we do with both is basically we aggregate your consent, your questions, your suggestions, and that basically helps us, helps to give direction as to what next we should be doing. Yes, the program comes from us, but all that is in the program is basically also has your input, and that has helped us in the last 15 years to remain relevant to your need as our customers. And it's on that note that we'll be taking our first break, and when we do return after the break, you can be rest assured, especially again for the first-time viewers, that we have so much to share with you, and that we are also setting will help to improve your understanding of the Nigerian capital market. It's on that note that we seek your permission to take the first break, and when we do return, we'll basically roll out the drums. Please stay tuned.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
For 3 decades, People world over have improved their health and well-being by its rich ingredients. A unique blend of essential amino acids, multivitamins and minerals specially formulated to combat stress and fatigue. The golden promise of Astamine is being enjoyed by more and more people who have found the deepest secret of living life at its peak. Astamine. Get healthier.
For every uncertainty that life presents on a daily basis, there is only one cover you can be sure of: the Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC cover. We have all it takes to give you the assurance that life can be perfect, even in the midst of uncertainty. Come under our cover today and put life's uncertainty behind you. Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC. We've got you covered.
You're welcome back. And if you just join us, the program is Stock and Shares. Starting with on the note as to how the week ended. First, we can confirm to you that for the 6 consecutive weeks, the market has been under tremendous pressure. And the pressure resulted in the market closing almost 2% down in the week under review. And like I mentioned, also picking up the 6 consecutive weeks in terms of going down. But looking at the chart, you also will find that for the 3rd consecutive years, for the period closing in and around March 12, the market again is being in red, hitting a negative of almost 13.5% in 2020 and 2.45% in 2019. One of the things that you also see, and you'll be right, is that in the last 3 years, what has happened in 2021 is basically the best in terms of the color of red. But let's also quickly mention that after only 2 gainers, interestingly, in 2020, and that's basically one of the reasons why you saw almost 13.5% drop. And interestingly, in that week, we had just 2 companies appreciating in share price and gaining 2 and 3 kobo respectively. But looking down the line, you can also find that in terms of level of performances, 2021 basically had a situation where it was speaking over 23 billion naira worth in terms of transaction. But the same cannot be said of the volume that was traded because the volume remained below 2 billion. But 2020, looking at the chart, you find that 2020 had the mark of a double pass, if you like. The same thing for 2018, almost 40 billion naira worth in the week that had over 3 billion units being traded. Similarly, 2015 also crossed that mark, and 2013 also doing in excess of 2 billion in terms of units and over 20 billion in terms of value. But before then, we also had 207 and 208 also doing exceeding well in the fact that they passed the 2 billion and 20 billion naira worth position. So what it then means is that we've had a situation where the all-share index has been positive 7 times in the last 16 years, and it's also been negative 9 times in the last 16 years. With 2019 to 2021, like we said, picking up 3 straight years. But we can also assure you that 2014, interestingly, to 2016, has also had a situation where they had 3 years back to back as well. No other years other than 2010 to 2012 that also had a situation where the index is closing back-to-back positive. But looking at the more detailed position, and that has to do with the index trend, what you will find is also one that is of interest, even to us in-house. 5 sectors had also recorded 6 straight weeks back-to-back, you will say, in the last 10 weeks, being negative. And interestingly, looking at the chart, you will find that NSE 30, the Lotus, premium sector, pension sector, and corporate governance index have taken a hit, going down 6 straight weeks. But it must also be mentioned that the consumer subsector, interestingly, is picking up the first gain in 5 weeks, while the banking subsector is second down in 4 weeks. So for this back-to-back is done 2 weeks down, and 2 weeks earlier it was also on the upside. Similarly, the insurance subsector is also picking up its first gain in 6 weeks, while the oil and gas subsector and industrial subsector are basically doing the reverse. The previous week we had the oil and gas sector being positive, being negative by 2.16, and in the week under review is turned positive, while the industrial subsector that was up by 1.39 the previous week is negative in the week under review. Similarly, we've had a situation where the emerging market, ASEAN, is picking up its first gain in 10 weeks, and interestingly, also the first gain in 15 weeks. So the whole of 2021, the company has basically remained at zero, and the last 15 weeks is also remained at zero. But let's also quickly mention that that is similar to what the main market is also bringing on the table. This is the first gain in 6 weeks, while for the pension subsector, basically not able to, if you like, basically recovered, recorded only 2 gains, interestingly, in 2020 at this time of the year as well. So that is basically the coloration that we've also seen as far as the market is concerned. But let's also close this segment on the note as to what the insurance subsector has done. In the last 4 years, the insurance subsector, 2010 to 2013, had the insurance subsector do 4 straight years of being up. That itself is followed by what the insurance subsector itself has done. The insurance subsector, 2015 to 2017, was positive for 3 years, and by 2018 to 2020, it was negative for 3 years. And from what we just told you, as far as the insurance subsector is concerned, it's returned to positive in 2021. The banking subsector and the premium sector, again, re-emphasizing what we said in terms of week, but in terms of years, we've had the 2 sectors, 2018 to 2021, having 4 straight years of being negative. The banking subsector, don't also forget, had done 2012 to 2015, 4 years negative. And the gain that we talking about the emerging market, ASEM, is a result of the gain that Smart Product brought on the table in the week under review. But very quickly, while the chart is still on, we can confirm to you that in 2021, we had a situation where 11 companies were delisted, and that included Nigerian Cement Company and Calago, Albaka, Daily Times, Okitipupa, Wiggins Stick, Foremost Dairies, First Capital, Flexible Packaging, New Park, Cabo, and Tropical Petroleum. And this itself is coming a year before Learn Africa basically gifted Nigeria. If you remember, Longman gave every Nigerian 51% of what they were holding in 2021. And that's basically turned the company to 100% Nigerian. Why 6 years after, 2018 to be specific, we had Unique being taken over by Nikon, again, that same year, we had the delist of 7-Up. And the reason that 7-Up is even far more important is that 2018 to date also means that those numbers of years have also gone in terms of unclaimed dividend and unclaimed money. So 12 years after, both will be gone to all investors. But at the end of trading today, we can also confirm to you, before we move to the next chart, that Transnational Express result is basically been in, and that result is indicating that there will be no dividend in a day that Zenith Bank was also gifting, if you like, dividend to existing shareholder. But again, we'll be telling you much more as to how the market went in the course of the program. But looking at the next chart, which is a summary of how well the market has also performed in the last 12 years for the same period ending in and around 12th of March. What you'll find is that in 2021, we had less than 90 companies not changing prices. This itself is far ahead of 77, which happens to be the lowest in 2021. But this itself is an improvement over what was done in 2020, but below what was done in 2018. Every other year, either to had a situation where over 100 companies we are basically showcasing as not being able to move price either up or down. And it's on that note that we take another break. When we return after the break, we'll be sharing with you the companies that basically help to push the index in the direction south that we talked about earlier. Please stay tuned.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
My name is Wale Kadri. I'm the Executive Director of Technical ICO Insurance PLC. ICO has been in existence for 55 years and we have track record. In this market, we are known by a lot of multinationals. In terms of claim settlement, in the industry, they know us for that. We settle claims within 24 hours, within 48 hours, because we have the financial muscle and we have the technical skill, capability to do it. In terms of branch network, we have presence in so many states. We also give them best of services. So that's what we stand for as ICO. We are always there and there's a claim from our clients. We've been supporting various businesses for a long time and we'll continue to do that.
You're welcome back. And if you just joined us, the program is Stock and Shares. Let's confirm to you that the NASD and the Nigerian Stock Exchange, in terms of the direction of their different indices, basically went opposite direction. while the NASD went up by 0.5%, following the gain by big sizes in the week. We had the opposite on the Nigerian stock. But let's start with the NASD. Yet, UBN property did go down by 6 kobo, and that's resulted in almost a 5% drop in terms of market capitalization. While CSCS that dropped by 64 kobo basically had a little over 4% drop in terms of their market capitalization. But NIPCO, the parent company of Double One, or formerly Mobile, went up by 50 kobo in the week under review to add 0.73% in terms of market capitalization. While Niger Delta, big size Niger Delta, went up by 5 naira, and that meant a 1.85% appreciation in terms of the index. While WAMPO added 5 naira 16 kobo to the share price, and that fetched almost a 4.3% addition in terms of market capitalization. But in terms of volume traded, we can confirm to you that UBN, the property company, basically led the pack ahead of Food Concept and ahead of CSCS, and then WAMCO and Niger Delta basically came in the rear. But converted to Naira and Kobo, what you then will find is that WAMCO basically led the pack, pushing Niger Delta to the second spot. But UBN property basically finished third, ahead of CSCS and Food Concept. But on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and like we told you, that had a drop of 1.74% in the week. We had 35 companies appreciating in terms of share price. But however, of the 35, 9 of them were in the insurance subsector. But the company that led the pack in the week happens to be Adova, because Adova raised to a 1 naira 35 kobo gain to partly reverse the 4 naira 55 kobo drop that I posted the previous week when he finished second. It's not too clear if the 60 billion in bond that Adova is hoping to raise did play any impact. But for Dangote Sugar, it went up by 1 naira 5 kobo again to almost recover from the 1 naira 10 kobo drop that I posted the previous week when he finished 11th. NASCON went up by 1 naira, and this was partly as a result of the 4 kobo gain on the last trading day of the week. The previous week, the company was down by 3 naira 5 kobo and finishing 5th. For Champion Breweries, it was down by 84 kobo the previous week when it finished 13th. But in the week under review, he picked up a 76 kobo gain to add a 45.2% improvement in its market capitalization. Similarly, Guinness, that was down by 5 kobo the previous week, added 50 kobo gain in the week under review. But at the end of trading today, we can also confirm to you that the company added another 2 naira 30 kobo to push its share price to 25 naira 30 kobo. Nimet, post AGM and dividend payment, Nimet added 34 kobo to its share price, and to also reverse an 8 kobo drop that I posted the previous week. For Wando, it did go down by 9 kobo on the last trading day of the week, but that did not stop Wando from finishing 30 kobo up, and to also partly reverse the 80 kobo drop that I posted the previous week when it finished 15. For Fitting Healthcare, it did pick up 5 kobo on the last trading day of the week, and this helped to reverse almost fully the 25 kobo drop that I also posted the previous week, finishing 20 kobo up, 4 kobo better than Kutix. Kutix ironically dropped 3 kobo on the last trading day of the week, but Kutix was not able to fully recover from the 33 kobo drop that I posted the previous week. For May and Baker, yes, it did finish 15 kobo up, but the previous week it was down by 24 kobo. But it must also be remembered that May and Baker did drop 6 kobo on the last trading day of the week. It's also important to mention that of the 35 companies that appreciated in share price in the week, 10 of them went up by over 10% in terms of market capitalization. And other than Flour Mills of Nigeria, the 9 others were basically lowly priced stock. And that also meant that Regency went up by 22.2%. Smart Product went up by 20% in the week under review. Surprisingly, Morrison Industry added 19.7% to its market capitalization. Nimet 19.4%. Mutual Benefit 11.4%. Wema Bank 11%. And Linkage Assurance also added 10% to its market capitalization. But let's quickly mention that at the end of trading today, there had 11 companies appreciating in share price as against 20 that turned negative, notwithstanding the fact that the market did go up by 0.41% as against being down by 0.22% the first trading day of the week. We had Dangote Cement rallying to 7 naira 80 kobo gain, and that pushed the share price to close at 227 naira 80 kobo. We can also assure you that the second major factor in the climb in the index today also has to the role that the second most capitalized company, MTN, also brought on the table. But we'll tell you much more in the course of the program. But on the downside, we had 38 companies dropping price in the week under review, and that itself, like I mentioned, is lower. It's much more than the 20 companies that dropped price at the end of trading today. And if you also remember, yesterday also had 18 companies dropping in terms of share price. But MTN, in the week under review, did drop by 1,200 kobo. That was partly as a result of the 2 naira that it dropped on the last trading day of the week. But if you also remember, the week earlier, the company had gone down by 4 naira to finish fourth, and 3 weeks earlier, it had gone down by 6 naira to finish second. And so for the third consecutive week, MTN has been on the downside. But at the end of trading today, we can confirm to you that MTN added 1 naira 90 kobo to its share price, and that also means that MTN closed at 159 naira 90 kobo. CFC REIT basically led the rally of the REIT on the downside because the REIT rather picked up a 6 naira 90 kobo drop, and that also meant almost a 10% drop in terms of its value, and all of that was as a result of the 6 naira 90 kobo that it dropped on the last trading day of the week. Zenith Bank dropped 3 naira 95 kobo, and that also meant a 15.6% drop in terms of market capitalization. The previous week, the company was down by 15 kobo, but at the end of trading today, it also did drop despite the dividend hitting various accounts. It dropped 90 kobo to close at 20 naira 30 kobo. Corn oil was down by 1 naira 85 kobo, while Julius Beta was down by 1 naira 80 kobo. Julius Beta picked up a 70 kobo drop on the last trading day of the week. But the previous week, the company also did finish 10th, having gone down by 1 naira 50 kobo. For Eternal Oil dropped 108 kobo, and that also translates to almost a 19% drop in terms of market capitalization, while United Capital dropped by 92 kobo, and that also meant a little over 16% drop in terms of market capitalization. But it must be noted that just like Zenith Bank, United Capital were marked down in the week for the dividend. For UBA, it was down by 80 kobo. That translates to 10%, but UBA rallied to 20 kobo gain on the last trading day of the week. These REITs on parades along with SFC happens to be UPDC. UPDC went down by 75 kobo and also shedding almost 13% in terms of value, while Grief dropped 70 kobo to follow up with a 80 kobo drop that I posted the previous week when it finished 15th. Let's also mention that for the big losers in terms of market capitalization, Maya went down by 9 kobo, and that meant that it was closing at 41 kobo. That size of drop translated to an 18% in terms of market capitalization. African Alliance dropped 4 kobo, closing at 20 kobo. That itself meant the market capitalization went down by almost 17%. Northern Nigerian flour missed 67 kobo drop, translated to almost 11% drop in terms of market capitalization, having closed at 5 naira 65 kobo, while livestock feed went down by 10.03%, having shed 28 kobo to close at 2 naira. But in terms of the impact that all of this also brought to the big ticket, we can confirm to you that the big ticket again had its own challenges. But before then, let's mention that at the end of trading today, GT Bank was down by 1 naira 45 kobo to close at 28 naira 50 kobo, and the yield to date is still standing at a negative of 12%. African Prudential dropped 45 kobo, yield to date standing at 20%, having closed at 5 naira. While ETI that dropped 30 kobo to close at 4 naira 85 kobo has a yield to date standing at a negative of 19%. But looking at the big ticket, like you will find, again, the banks basically dominating. The first four banks, again, Transcorp came in between, allowing Access Bank to finish sixth. And thereafter, you'll find that the banks basically disappeared. But on the big ticket, but probably before the big ticket, one of the things that you also notice that UBA, interestingly, the previous week, did finish sixth in terms of volume traded. But in terms of big ticket, Zenith Bank basically displays surplus, because surplus the previous week had done a 10.4 billion in terms of transaction in a single week. But that is not to be in the week under review. But Zenith Bank, ahead of GT Bank, also finished in the top two, pushing UBA, that was the most active in terms of volume, to the fourth position. Down the line, you begin to find the like of Access Bank, Stanbic, and then Guinness also showing face along with Nigerian breweries. But what is much more of note is that 33 companies basically traded over 25 million in the week under review, and then 6 basically form a class of billionaire in terms of the volume, in terms of value traded, and that is talking about FBN Holding, Dangote Cement, UBA, Nestle, GT, and Zenith Bank are doing over 1 billion in the week under review. And it's also on that note that we take another break, and when we return after the break, we'll be sharing with you what we did mention earlier, the companies that will give hope to the market, talking about the second quarter of 2021. Please stay tuned.
We cover mobility, education, family, travel, home, business, lifestyle, custodian, exceeding expectations.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
You're welcome back. And if you just joined us, the program is Stock and Shares. Let's start on the note of the companies whose results are expected between today and next week, Monday. Interestingly, that is one of the hope that the market is hoping that will help correct the challenges of what the money market is bringing on the table, and again, what the economic indicators, especially in terms of inflation, is also portraying. Because good results also have a way of influencing the market. But taking a major look at what we had promised that we are going to share with you on the program this evening is the fact that even on the number of the companies that are hoping to have their results in the week, we have the likes of Unilever moving forward by 1 week, and GSK also moving forward by 1 week. But the companies whose second quarter are also expected to influence the market has the likes of Total, and that chart will come in any moment from now. Interestingly, Total is hoping to achieve a profit after tax. That chart will come in any moment from now, certainly. Total is hoping to do a profit after tax of 1.6 billion, and by the current number of shares in issue, that itself will translate to Total having an earnings based on the 3 months, April to June, of 473 kobo. Custodian is hoping to do a 4.65 billion profit after tax, and that itself will mean that in terms of earnings, Custodian will be closer to 80 kobo in terms of earnings. MRS expected profit after tax is 195 million, almost 200 million. For the company, that itself will translate to a 65 kobo in terms of earnings. That itself will also mean that it's ahead of FCMB rather. And interestingly, FCMB had an improved position in the fourth quarter of 2020. But for FCMB, it's hoping to do a 3.7 billion in terms of profit after tax in the period, and that itself will mean almost a 19 kobo close for the earnings. Similarly, Eternal Oil, that also had an improved fourth quarter, is hoping to do a 185 million in terms of profit after tax, and that would translate to a 14.2 kobo in terms of earnings. For Sterling Bank had an improved fourth quarter, or had the fourth quarter go up, and is hoping that will also translate to what is expecting in the first quarter of 2021, and by extension the second quarter. So he's hoping that for the third consecutive quarters, the profit will be up, and Sterling is hoping to do a 3.74 billion profit after tax, and the earnings will be standing at 13 kobo. For Royal Exchange, is projecting to do a 571 million in terms of profit, but that will fetch it 11 kobo in terms of earnings. Suno is also had a situation where the forecast for the fourth quarter of 2020, first quarter of 2021, and second quarter of 2021 is also indicating a progression on the upside, and that would then culminate in the 184 million profit after tax by end of June, and that would then mean that in terms of earnings, the earnings will be standing at 6.6 kobo. Regency is similar to Suno, 3 straight quarters up, but for the second quarter of 2021, the profit after tax is expected to hit a 356 million, and in terms of earnings, it will be 5.3, which itself is higher than the 4.5 that Consolidated Hallmark is hoping to achieve from a 485 kobo profit. Why Cornerstone is also expected to do a 547 million in terms of profit, but the earnings will be standing at 3 kobo. Cornerstone also had an improvement, or did forecast a fourth quarter 2020 improvement. Jaiz Bank, 3 quarters consecutively up. That is in terms of the forecast. And Jaiz Bank is hoping to do a 286 million in terms of profit, and that will translate to a 2.8 million in terms of earnings, which is 2 kobo clear ahead of Abbey. And interestingly, all the companies in questions basically had a projected improvement in profit after tax. But for Abbey, he also did post a loss in the fourth quarter of 2020, and he's hoping that, just like MRS, will be migrating from a loss to being in a position of posting a profit at the end of second quarter of 2021. And it's also on that note that we then take another break, and when we do return, I'll basically be looking at the two companies on parade, talking about corporate results. Please stay tuned.
My family is about to have the best miyan taushe they have ever tasted. How do I know? My new Dangote seasoning cube brings out the best flavor.
The new Dangote seasoning is just perfect for my miyan kubewa. The aroma and the flavor is simply amazing.
Mesuya, why is suya too sweet like this?
Since the time I use them for Dangote seasoning, I put them for my edge. Then they make my suya correct, kuma they on point. That is why I see people that they even come buy this suya all the time. They come.
Mesuya, give me 200 naira.
Do I want you to be done pass 200 naira pa?
Introducing the new Dangote seasoning to give every meal that rich, distinct taste and flavor that your whole family will love.
To the left, and to the
The new Dangote seasoning cube is the real deal. Try it today.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
Sterling Bank, we believe that the world should revolve around you. That's why we've created a banking system that does just that. A system where you're constantly met at your point of need, and where we treat you like you're the only one that matters. Sterling Bank, the one customer bank.
You're welcome back. And if you just joined us, the program is Stock and Shares. And the segment we are on now happens to be corporate results. And talking about corporate results, like we told you, we're looking at two banks. The first one happens to be Jaiz Bank. And interestingly, for Jais Bank, I did migrate from the NASD to the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 2016. And for the 12 months ended 2020 unaudited versus 2019 audited, is indicating that the top line gross income went from 13.5 billion to 15 billion by 2020. And the profit after tax basically edged up from 2.4 billion to 2.5 billion. And that basically explains why the earnings is basically in the 8 kobo region. As again, an 8.3 kobo in 2019. In 2020, it was 8.5. 3 kobo was paid dividend for 2019. It's not too certain what the bank will be proposing to its shareholders in 2021 for 2020 accounting year. No bonus, no dividend. And in terms of waiting period, basically flat at 7.5 versus 7.6 in 2020. And like I mentioned, the company was listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 2016, and it had moved from a share price of 1 naira 40 kobo close at 31st of December in that year to closing at 63 kobo in 2017, and then dropping further to 50 kobo by 2018. But by 2019, the climb started, closing 62 kobo 31st of December before hitting a 66 kobo in 2020, and basically hitting a 99 and 88 kobo high in 2021, rather in the last 52 weeks, but staying at less than 70 kobo currently. But it must also be noted that for Jais Bank, it's also done a low of 39. And like I mentioned, basically hitting 88 in the last 52 weeks as well in terms of the high side. For the second company on parade, that happens to be Wema Bank PLC. Wema Bank, 12 months unaudited 2020 versus audited 2019. The top line basically closed at 95 billion in 2019. That in 2020 was 80.9 billion. And in terms of profit after tax, bottom line, if you like, again, some level of being flat at 5.2 in 2019 and 5.1 in 2020. That again explains why the earnings is basically in 13 kobo region, 13.5 in 2019 and 13.1 in 2020. The company that paid a dividend of 4 kobo for 2019 accounting year is not too certain as to what they will be asking shareholders to approve in 2020. But if you take the curve, 3 kobo in 2018, 4 kobo in 2019, CBN permitting, would not be too surprised if you see a 5 kobo position in 2020. But in terms of waiting period, from 5.5 years by 2019 position, the company is currently standing at a little over 4.5 years in terms of waiting period. This is not unconnected with the movement in share price that is currently standing at less than 70 kobo in 2021, having also done a high of 92 kobo and a low of 44 kobo in the last 52 weeks. In 2020, the company's share price closed at 69 kobo. And like I mentioned, that was the year that a 4 kobo dividend was paid. But in 2019, it did close at 74 kobo, and that was the year that 3 kobo was paid. But what is also of note is that between 2011 and 2021, that's an 11-year period, the share price remained below 1 naira, except for 2013. And in 2013, the share price closed at 122 kobo. And in 2015, when the share price closed at 1 naira. Every other period between 2011 and 2021. The share price is basically been below 1 naira, and that's what explained 2011 being at 57 kobo, 2012 52 kobo, and like we told you, 2013 1 naira 22 kobo, 2014 96 kobo, 2015 1 naira, and then dropping to 54 kobo in 2016, 52 kobo in 2017, and 63 kobo in 2018, before climbing to 74 kobo in 2019 and 69 kobo in 2020. It must also be put on record that for the company in 2004 rather, the share price did close at 3 naira 93 kobo, though the high in that year happens to be 6 naira 67 kobo. In 2015, it closed at 3 naira 74 kobo. The high was 3 naira 93 kobo. In 2016, it closed at 3 naira 20 kobo, and the high was 3 naira 74 kobo. By 2017, I was basically flat at 15 naira, though the low, interestingly, in 2017 was 3 naira 18 kobo. And the high in 2018 also remains at 15 naira, though the company share price closed at 14 naira 29 kobo in 2018. By 2019, the 14 naira 29 kobo turned out to be the high for 2019, and the 93 kobo happened to be the closing price, while 74 kobo was the low. And by 2020, the low was 75 kobo, the high was 182 kobo, and the closing price was 1 naira 29 kobo. And that rolled into the 57 kobo close for 2021. So that is basically the picture that Wema Bank had painted between 2004 to 2021 in terms of share price. And it's also on that note that we take another break, and when we do return, I will be sharing with you the company of the week. Please stay tuned.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
You're welcome back. And if you just join us, the program is Stock and Shares. And we're basically at the tail end of the program because where we are now is one that will give you justification for what qualifies ABC Transport, or if you like, Associated Bus Company, that happens to be the company of the week. And the reason that ABC is basically company of the week is not for the 2 kobo that again in the week under review, but for the directors opting to have their board meeting on a Saturday to approve the audited report of the company is what has earned the company one of the few in the transport sector, the company of the week. And it's also on that note that we want to especially thank you for being part of this program. Hopefully we'll be back next week. Again, depending on what the pressure from you is looking like, we then will also know what to bring on the table. But before we go, we'll urge you to take away our takeaways because even after we said good night and God bless, we still have something to offer you. If you like, take away the bonuses, and we'll see you next week. Good night and God bless.
Hello, people!
Cousin's Baby Gift Pack.
Wow, what a nice gift. I am definitely getting this next time.
Cousin's Baby Gift Pack. A carefully selected range of safe baby products with natural goodness. Used for decades by millions of moms across Africa to take care of the baby's delicate skin. Cousin's Baby. The gift that keeps on giving.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
Honey!
Daddy, please, can I go out with you and Mommy tonight?
Sure thing, sweetie. Get your shoes and we go.
Promise?
You have my word.
Daddy!
You know I wouldn't leave without you, my princess.
There's nothing more important than a promise. We are Fidelity. We keep our word.